This is another Disney podcast production.
Hey team, welcome to Reimagineer It, where we destroy your favorite attractions. This week we're reimagineering Tony's Town Square.
We have the potential of being the worst rated podcast in all of Disney.
I also just realized I start every show with, ooh.
Yes, we are the Dream Crushers. We're actually renaming our podcast to the Dream Crushers.
We are the Dream Crushers.
Disney Dream Destroyers. Wait, isn't the Disney Dream a boat? We can't do that. Isn't it a boat?
The Triple Ds? The Disney Dream Destroyers?
Woo! Boy, this is going downhill quickly.
Podcast.
Welcome, everybody.
Okay.
To Reimagineer It. We are looking at Tony's Town Square restaurant tonight. Okay, there's a reason why I chose this. One, I was like, guys, let's do something that's easy. So since we just got back from the parks and we got a lot going on, and then this was the hardest one for me. Definitely the hardest one.
What? Why would you say it's the hardest one?
I don't know. I was just like, what do you put there? I mean, it would probably
I can't talk about mine yet.
Well, I should say this. It probably would have been more challenging if we were taking the entire footprint of that whole building, because there's so much in there. So I guess maybe it was I just didn't know what to do. So
I mean, apparently we're destroying it. So if you wanted to take the whole footprint of the building, you can.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
we know you're fiscally responsible on these reimagineering shows, but you can knock down the whole building if you want, Dave.
Where will Mickey be? And what about Tinkerbell? And then how will you get your new shampoo shop hats that we can't do it. There's too much construction. They're already changing all the Main Street dreams. Okay. We typically start off our show with a little bit of history. Of each attraction, land, park, ride, whatever we do.
Okay.
So this will be no different. Okay. Now, when Main Street USA opened on opening day in Florida, it was October of 1971. Nearly 50 years ago. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay, so this was right in Town Square, and so it was conveniently named the Town Square Cafe.
Why?
Right? With that open air porch where guests could watch the sea of people strolling in and out of the park. Now, fun fact, there was also a Town Square Cafe in Disneyland at that time as well. There you go. Okay, so it was a restaurant that had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it was a Victorian era themed restaurant, which I think fits so much better than Tony's Italian Stallion Olive Garden restaurant that's there now. Okay,
that would have been a much better name.
It did. It was originally going to be sponsored by a coffee company, but that proposed participant bailed. It ended up being sponsored by Oscar Mayer from 1971 to 1981.
Was it a hot dog shop?
Nope, didn't sell hot dogs. So that was a weird arrangement, agreement. I don't know. So anyway, obviously a bizarre sponsor. Because what they served at the location at the time, it was pretty upscale fare. So you had a Monte Cristo sandwich, which if you haven't had a Monte Cristo sandwich, you have not lived. It is heavenly.
Preach.
I don't know, Brandon. It's got cheese in it, right?
It's like cheese and ham.
Yeah, it's like cheese, but it's like the bread is fried and coated with powdered sugar.
Yeah. So do you like them? I mean,
it's got ham and cheese and garlic.
I've had them before. You can make them with white cheese. We all know feelings about yellow cheese, but if they're made with white cheese, then yes.
And they could.
I would eat.
I've even been in some places where they like flash fry them. Oh, anyway. Monte Cristos are my jam. Yes. They're my jam. And they also had something called crepes jambalaya. Didn't look that up, but I have all kinds of questions. Then from 81 to 89, it was sponsored by Hormel, and the menu was a large, this is really cool, and this will have a lot to do with what I'm doing. It had a large 4-page newspaper that was the menu, titled the Town Square Times. And of course, the first page was all about the history of Hormel, since they were sponsoring it. And then Hormel did not renew their sponsorship with Disney, and Disney in turn did a massive rehab, converting it to what is known today as Tony's Town Square Restaurant. We all know that it references the Italian restaurant in the classic animated feature Lady and the Tramp. And they're featured with a really cool statue inside. There's like its little water fountain below it. It's really cute. So there is your history of Tony's Town Square. Now, I mean, I'd have to say, like, why, when we thought about doing this, the one thing that I said the other night is, I mean, anywhere in Magic Kingdom is, I guess, prime real estate, but this is like, as soon as you enter the park, depending on whether you come in the left side or right side, obviously come in the right side, it's right. It's literally one of the first things you come to after entering the park. And so it's in a great location. I know it's off to the side. Like, you can't sit there and see the castle like you can at the Plaza restaurant.
Right.
But I mean, it's great. They've got the outdoor thing. So if your Festival of Fantasy parade comes by and you have, you know, that 1 o'clock reservation, you're going to get to see like the whole parade go through. So it's in prime real estate for sure.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's no secret, right, that Tony's gets a bad rap. Is that fair to say?
Very fair.
Yeah.
Brandon,
fair.
I've only been, Sis and I went with you and Krista, I don't know, 2 or 3 trips ago. And it wasn't bad. I enjoyed the meal. The waitress we had was awesome. Like, she was like from Hagerstown, where my daughter was born. So we had like that fun thing in common. But it was, it wasn't awful. I've had worse food at Disney World. I'll say that. But it gets really hammered from people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I just think there's nothing special about it. I mean, it's just your standard, you know, spaghetti and meatballs or chicken parmesan. It's nothing that's super unique. You know, it's just standard fare that I think may be a little more expensive than you should pay for that stuff. But the experience, I think the draw to that restaurant is the experience that you get in the restaurant with the servers and the, you know, the characters and the, you know, the ambiance, I would say is the draw to the restaurant more than the food.
I mean, I just got questions though. Question number 1. We're on Main Street, USA. We're talking America.
Yep.
Why is there an Italian restaurant there?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why
Good
it's good
question.
that's why it's good to reimagineer it, right? I mean, it's shoehorned in there. It is bizarre, but I mean, there's definitely Italian restaurants in every city. I mean, it is a popular American favorite type of food, right? I mean, I guess
for sure.
Okay, man. I'm not going first. Let's let Matthew go first. He never gets to go first.
I know.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. All right. Here's what I got. Mine is kind of short and sweet, because mine is actually something that kind of already exists. So let's think back to our Reimagineer with Animation Courtyard. I demolished everything at Animation Courtyard. It's gone. But that means everything with Animation Courtyard, including One Man's Dream. And so it's like, that is pretty important when it comes to like the history of Disney and the history of the Walt Disney Company, because it's like one of pretty much the only like historical thing there is at Walt Disney World. And let me like think Disneyland, you walk in and you have great moments with Mr. Lincoln. And right as you're about to go and sit down for the show is the Walt Disney Story. It's like an area. I know when I went, it was like they were highlighting Haunted Mansion. So it's kind of like a revolving exhibition almost. But like I know in there they have the giant Disneyland model. It's like the map. It's like the opening day map, but it's an actual model. It's really cool.
Is it hanging on the wall?
I mean, it's like behind glass.
Yeah,
it's like
I remember seeing it there. It was really cool.
But I really like that. And so here's what I'm going to do. I am going to demolish Tony's Town Square. I'll keep the building. I'm going to get rid of everything inside. I'm going to gut it out. And like, let's think about that for a second. That's kitchens. That's waiting areas. That's
seating areas.
Like that's a whole lot of space. To put this historical, fun little piece in there. It doesn't have to be Walt Disney Presents per se, but, I'm thinking there's not really anything. There's a lot of places you can go that talk about the history of Disneyland. There's a lot of places you can go that talk about the history of Walt Disney. I think this would be a unique opportunity to talk about the history of Walt Disney and talk about the development of Walt Disney World.
Oh.
So, I don't know.
Kind of like a little museum on Main Street.
Yeah.
Essentially.
That's pretty cool. I like that.
I think that would be super fun. And I know that's one thing that, like, I love museums, so that kind of gets to me. So I'm really excited. I would be really excited about that. So that's all I got. I mean, it's short and sweet, but I think it's something that could be needed.
Okay.
Fun times.
All right. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Dave, I think you should go.
I wouldn't go to your stupid museum, but I like it. I do like museums. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Disney One Man's Dream at Hollywood Studios kind of gets glossed over. I mean, you're generally rushing from the front of the park past there to get to Toy Story Land. So there's a bunch of historical stuff inside of there that I think gets passed over by a bunch of people. So maybe putting it in Magic Kingdom would get it the credit that it deserves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that area of Main Street in Disneyland more than I do in Disney World.
Yeah, I agree.
It's much better put together, right? Especially with great stories with, what is it? Great moments with Mr. Lincoln, but just the American parts.
Just the American parts.
That's the only thing I can't ever get past that. Okay. I'm going to stay with food. And you know how that saying that's been around forever, but everything old is new again?
Yep.
I'm going to play in a little bit of that. Okay. So when you think about Main Street USAs in towns all across America, they've always been full of small family-owned businesses. So, and those businesses would line Main Street, right? And so if you look at the model of the Main Street from Marceline, Missouri, that's kind of what it is. It says all these things along Main Street. That's not really the shops that they are, but like it's always been designed as a up and down Main Street. We've got all these fun little shops, right? And so now, what Tony's is trying to be is an upscale fine dining that it misses the mark. Now, the rumors that the food has improved, I have read from somebody that I read pretty frequently and trust, and said like the food has gotten a lot better. And so I trust this guy, and so I will take him at his word. However, this is prime real estate on Main Street. And so it's right at the entrance of Magic Kingdom. The outdoor seating is the perfect location, like we talked about, for Main Street hub activities, whether the vehicles are going in the early to late morning, the Dapper Dans are out singing, later in the day, his Festival of Fantasy Parade. Like, I mean, it's a great spot if you can get the reservation at the right time. Now, all of the all of the restaurants on Main Street, I think this is the best location for view and ambiance because of what happens in that front section or that main entrance section, because that's still a hub area. I mean, I think of it as a hub area because there's lots of things going on. You can get to several buildings on the left or right, whether you got the fire station or whatever. Anyway, I look at it as still a hub, even though you can't break off and really go anywhere but straight down Main Street. And I know, like we talked earlier, Plaza has, if you get the right seat, you can look at the castle. Great. But I think of the activity that goes on back there. It's a unique place to kind of sit and hang out. People watch, and then all the fun activities every day. So I think the ambience back there is great. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with a sweet little family-owned diner about this gentleman that worked hard for everything that he got, and he believed in his dream and created this amazing place. And so this restaurant will be called Walt's. So there's your first tie-in. Now, Walt's, there'll be a lot of tie-ins on Main Street in Magic Kingdom, because we talked about in our latest podcast of Another Disney Podcast about how everything with Disney is telling a story. So I want to keep these pieces of the story in there. For one, the walls will be covered with family pictures telling of the story of this hardworking man, Walt, that never settled until he achieved his dreams. That rings a bell, right? Now, the overall decor would closely resemble Walt's brother's place just down the street, Roy's Confectionery. Sorry. The floor would have the classic black and white checkered tile. Of course, there would be a wraparound counter seating with a pop fountain feel. Wait for it. Where you could take one of those newfangled trolleys down to Walt's and meet the boys for a cold sarsaparilla. Anybody catch that? Anybody catch that? Now, it wouldn't. I wouldn't do breakfast. I would just do lunch and dinner. And on the menu, I would bring back that Monte Cristo, mostly because I love Monte Cristos, but it was the most popular thing on the menu when it was the Town Square Cafe. I would also feature diner staples like steak, chef salad, maybe a classic Reuben. I would also keep spaghetti on the menu as a homage to Tony's and Lady and the Tramp. Now, there is some really cool info about the menus that we talked about earlier in the earlier versions when it was Tony's Town Square Cafe, and I would add this back into the story of the diner. So what's important is these menus, and I'm going to start throwing up some examples right here, so please watch the video if you can, but I will put a link in the show notes. This menu had all of these cool advertisements, if you will, of different places that were actually on Main Street. There was an ad for the Emporium where kids could get a toy. The Main Street Transportation Company was an ad for that. The Chapeau, and even the Camera Center and the card shop. And so if you imagine opening the menu, it had all the menu stuff, but it had, as you see on the video, all these different things that it was advertising that were actually the other businesses on Main Street that are all part of the Magic Kingdom. And so I think that would be a cool way to do that. Like I said, make old new again and bring back. So it would be a diner feel, but not like a roller skates and not like, what did you say? Not like a Johnny Rocket. It's not like that at all. But I thought what a cool way to call it Walt's and, hey, my brother has an ice cream shop right down the street. So it really gave that small hometown feel. And that's my silly thing that I came up with.
That's super fun.
No.
I'm going to throw that back at you. I wouldn't go to your stupid diner.
Me neither.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the food. I think that's kind of the market that Magic Kingdom is missing a little bit, is that they have all these restaurants that are there, but they're missing the homey feeling. I feel like that's what they were going for with Tony's, but the fact that it's an Italian restaurant misses the mark on Main Street America. But there's just something like in Hollywood Studios, you have the 50s diner, right? So you have like the home feeling and mom wants you to come in and have meatloaf and be comfy. And I feel like there's just that kind of restaurant is missing in Magic Kingdom. So that would definitely hit that.
And I will say, like, when you go into Tony's, like, I mean, it's a very elegant, like the decor, it's beautiful. It's a really elegant looking restaurant. But then when you I mean, again, I didn't hate the food. Like, it's not awful, but I get that. I think the challenge is, like Brandon said, like the money just the food didn't match what they were charging. And that's Correct. Always, that's fair, right? I mean, you're already spending a lot of money in a theme park. You're paying more for food. And so I get it if it's not kind of up to par for what you feel like you're paying for. I mean, that's fair. But I would I would bring it back to something that feels like more that it fits into Main Street USA.
Quick quiz, guys, before we go to Brandon. What is the only Disney owned and run Italian restaurant on property? Is it at Epcot, in the Italy Pavilion, or is it Tony's Town Square? The answer is not at the Italy Pavilion.
Trick question.
That's right.
Like, come on. Come on. Brandon, what you got?
I agree. Well, I thought a lot about this. Like Dave said, it's a prime real estate area It's right when you come in the park. We usually go in the right side, so that's kind of where we go. It's kind of like the Canada-Mexico debate. Do you go right or do you go left when you enter the park? Usually we enter right. So I got to thinking, what would I see on a Main Street USA in all of these small towns? And the thing that I kept coming back to was a general store.
Ooh,
so I would
finally.
it would be the Main Street general store. And so it would take up, I'm not going to demolish the whole building. Mickey can stay there. Tinkerbell can stay there. But what I kind of picture is a building that is, the easiest way to describe it is almost like the waiting area of a Cracker Barrel. Almost.
Yeah.
Right? It's very Americana. So like Dave, there would be pictures on the wall of Walt's family. This would be a general store that was passed down throughout the generations, but it would have things in it like I picture like rock candy and cool souvenirs and trinkets. Those obviously not in COVID times, but the big barrels of candy where you go up and you can get scoop your candy into your little baggie and serve yourself. But there's gumballs and rock candy and rope candy and those button candies and things like that. And then you can also, in the back, what I picture is like a soda counter almost.
Yes.
So you would just go back there. It's not a sit down restaurant. You would go get a milkshake, or you'd go get a
cold
root beer
sarsaparilla.
float, or a good old sarsaparilla. But it would just have a soda counter in the back. So that's kind of what I thought. I just picture, rocking chairs out front. In the middle of this, there would be an area that had chess boards and checkers boards where kids could play, sit down and play chess and checkers. And it would kind of get back to that original sit and just take it in kind of feel that the original restaurant had. But that's kind of my vision, just an old Main Street general store where you would just go to get your hodgepodge of Disney goods.
I love that.
Yeah, you had me at no Mickey shaped candy, so I was in.
Yes, this would not be your Goofy Sours and your things like that. I'm talking like old school candies. Yeah,
I remember growing up, like we used to always go to this drugstore that my grandmother would take me to, and they had those big, like the jars of those like sticks, those candy sticks that were like, they had the twirl shape and all different flavors.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I loved those things. That's what I think of when I think of like, you go to the counter and they got all those different, and you just like as a kid, you're like, I have to only pick one. There's 47 flavors back there.
Peppermint sticks and all of that kind of.
Yeah, I feel like
candy.
That fits so perfectly into the Main Street vibe, where what's there now just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, and even Matthews makes sense because it's like it would feel like another shop building place to visit on Main Street. Like it just.
Well, Marceline even has a museum.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So even Matthews makes sense.
It always does.
Even, I mean, I wouldn't
how you
go
feel
to
about mine
museum, but it makes sense.
Well, no, you just went away from food. Like, and I still think it fits. Like, it's brilliant.
Yeah. I don't think Main Street needs a flagship restaurant.
No, it doesn't.
I really don't.
But I'm a cheapskate. Let's utilize the ovens.
But I mean, let's think about it. Once you get to the end of Main Street, turn left, flagship restaurant. Turn right, flagship restaurant. Go straight, flagship restaurant.
That's right.
You're not out of luck. So I don't know. That's what I got.
It's good.
That's what we got.
All right. I do want to follow up. We got a call and somebody left us a voicemail from last week's episode. However, I'm going to reach back out to her. I think she was like, you got to let me come on the show. I have a great idea. Well, the idea is you got to leave us a message, leave us a voicemail, or text us your idea, and then we'll share it on the next episode. So our bad for not being super clear, but it would be really challenging to try to bring everybody that might want to say like physically onto the show. But we're dying to know what your idea was. And sorry, it wasn't for last week's. This was for the Stitches Escape and Monsters Inc. Laugh Along.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
I'm super excited to hear what she has to say. So I'm reaching back out to you, I promise. And so I would love to get that voicemail, text message, or whatever. Or even if you want to send us a video. If you send us a video, we'll put that on the show.
Oh, true facts.
So yes, the best places to send it is either our email, another diz podcast, right? Yeah, anotherdispodcast at gmail.com, or our phone number that's on the screen right now, just in case we say it wrong. Even though I think it's 757-573-4742, but I could be wrong. Could be 563.
Sounds right. I don't know.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I liked this one. This is a good one. And then what did we decide on next week? It's a big one, isn't it? Did we?
I think Tom Sawyer's Island.
Oh no, I'm so mortified.
Yeah. That was
That's a huge area.
Yeah. That's a lot of space.
Let's do it.
Oh, no.
Let's do it. And as Matthew put it, we're going to destroy it.
Mine, you know what I would do? I would make it Tom Sawyer's Ireland with new paint. That's what I would do. I don't have the capacity to think of
super
something
economical.
I mean, they reimagineered the side of Sunshine Tree Terrace
They did. I put that on my Instagram while we were there.
with new paint.
All right. This was good. I like these shows, man. I love all the different things. I can't wait till we get to like resorts and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be crazy.
Bye, people.
Oh, as a reminder, this is tell your friends, share.
Almost
This is
said
on
bye.
a new feed. Like, I mean, it doesn't make sense if you already listened to them, but yeah, this is not on our Made Finity War. I meant to mention that in our podcast. But
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Subscribe to this. It's going to be fun. We're going to keep destroying everything you love.
Destroy.
As we do. Okay. Bye, people.
Bicycle.
Bicycle.